Here come the boys. Y'all ready to go swimming, baby? Come on. Give it up. Get out of that water. I tried telling y'all, it's swim lessons, baby.
Brent, thank you so much for coming to do this.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me.
It takes a little bit to show up, and figure this all out, but once we get going, we get going. But Brent, how does it feel to be back home here in Williston?
Yeah, it's always special being back home where, I grew up. I was born and raised here for, 18 years till I went to college. So it's crazy. I don't really get to come up here that often because I'm always either on the road or playing or somewhere else. But just how much it changes every time. Something new every time. Now we're in a new high school, all that stuff. But it's special for me. You get back, you get to have nostalgia, think about all the all the stuff you did growing up, see all your buddies that talk about all those high school stories that never need to get out, but it's things like that. So it's special. When I get to come back, it's definitely special.
Yeah, for sure. And talking about coming back, you're kind of finishing up a football camp that you put on. You want to tell us a little bit about that really quick?
Yes, this is our fifth annual camp for we kind of focus it on the offensive line and defensive line for the high schoolers, and we added middle schoolers I think last year, so that kind of helps you get more kids out, get them out younger so that they stick with the game of football. We had colleges, we had University of Jamestown, University of Marion, Bismarck, and Dickinson State coaches were here working with the campers. Obviously I'm helping out. I kind of rotate and go to every station and help out and stuff. And it's just, the main emphasis there is getting kids in this side of the state that probably don't have as much recognition or recruiting. So they come to camp, these coaches see it. And I think we've had 4 or 5 kids get scholarships from the camp. So, and that was huge. And then, today we finished up with our, youth camp, like 3rd through 6th grade, where they run around, they tackle, they throw, they punt, they kick, catch, run routes, catch it. We did competition. We finished with ultimate football, which like flicker ball. There's a bunch of names for it. And it's 2 hours long. It's today's quick. They just go and keep their minds from wandering, and then occupied and just run and now we're all done.
Well, that's good. That's promising to hear. I mean, it's got to be a good feeling to come back and you're telling about new things in Williston, and we're sitting in a new thing right now with the new high school. What are your thoughts on kind of how your alma mater is just continuing to grow and develop this athletic program, if you will? Yeah,
I mean, the facilities here are they got to be as some of the best that you can find anywhere. So definitely the facilities are here, and it's just now about trying to get the programs established at a younger age so that it's not so much new coaches, new players coming in and out each year. And it's hard. Williston is an oil town, so people are moving and coming and going, but just trying to get those base things established to where everything can be, running smooth and have a consistency about it to where year in and year out, what you're going to get. Yeah. I mean, and we want to talk about hometown stuff. I want to talk about the GOAT, and that's John Cole, my guy. Dude, you've been around. You came here, you went to Nebraska, Lincoln played, you went to New York, you went to Houston. Have you ever come across a sports journalist as GOAT-worthy as John Cole? No, John's the best. John taught me how to do interviews. Really? In high school, I think I had an interview with him at least once a week in football and basketball and track and just like that. And then, you get to Lincoln where University of Nebraska fans are crazy and the reporters are crazy. So they're harping on you, and I was just like, I'm prepared. I've been in this. And then you get out to New York, and those sports reporters in New York City are something else too. So, but no, I mean, nobody's like John. That's always like when I come home, it's like I look forward to seeing him every time I come home. We have, our 20-minute catch-up interview, and we move, and it's just good to it's always good to see him. He's always happy. He's always appreciative to talk with me. And it's something like when I come to Williston, I know I'm seeing John.
Yeah. Heck yeah. That's awesome. Well, Brent, I want you to take us back. Okay. Take me back to your senior year of high school football. Obviously what were you playing in high school? Guard?
Tackle.
You're playing tackle in high school. Okay. Now take us through where you've got a chance to, obviously a little bit pre this, but hey, I've got some colleges looking at me. Can you kind of take me through what happened or the story from your time at Williston High School to kind of transition into college, and what colleges were talking to you?
Yeah. So we, probably my sophomore year is when schools like North Dakota State and University of Montana, University of North Dakota, schools of that, kind of the 1AA level, FCS level, whatever it's called now, they started talking. And then it was the summer of between junior and senior year. I got invited down to the Nebraska camp, a one-day camp of recruits.
Okay.
And so I went down there, did the one-day camp they offered, and I was like, this is amazing. This
no shit.
Yeah. And then so my parents, we drove from Williston down to Lincoln, 14-hour drive, and then drove to Ames, Iowa for Iowa State, Madison, Wisconsin for Wisconsin. I mean, we did this huge loop of schools in that week, and I did a camp like every other day basically, and I was done. I was dead. I think I got super sick afterwards because it just like I was on empty. But so I did that tour of schools, got all those offers, and Nebraska just felt like home to me. And I'm very happy with going there. Obviously there was you never know, like could have went to NDSU, could have went to Wisconsin, could have did all this, but Nebraska was home, and now Lincoln is my home. So I appreciate everything that school has ever done for me, and I will always be a fan of them.
What was different though, that other than just feeling like home? Was it something like, okay, they do a really good job with their offensive line compared to like say, NDSU or Wisconsin? Was there something that was different to that personally to you?
Yeah. And Nebraska had been putting a lot of guys in the NFL right as I was kind of getting recruited there. And then just looking at the depth chart, I felt that I could go in and compete earlier, whereas Wisconsin was loaded, as they have a great offensive line tradition. Iowa, same thing. And I just felt like looking at all the circumstances of depth charts, who's going where, things like that, I was like, I think Nebraska is the best fit and the best opportunity to grow and have a shot at the next level. Okay,
so now we get you to Lincoln. You're in Lincoln. You're kind of transitioning into this freshman. When do you kind of go to your first game in Lincoln? You're like, okay, this ain't Williston anymore. This is a huge, if not the best environment, college football.
Yeah. So my official visit senior year, we went down. It was the Nebraska versus Colorado when there was a huge game-winning field goal, like 55-yard field goal to go ahead. Nebraska went ahead of Colorado, and that place was, 90,000 just rock. And I was like, this is insane. But you walk on the field the very first time, and 90,000+ people standing, and then they kind of like, oh, here's our recruits, and everyone goes nuts, and you're just like, this is pretty amazing. So that was the second you get there is the first. If you step on that field, there's nothing like it.
Right.
Memorial Stadium is
the best.
It's a special place.
Do you still go to quite a few games?
Luckily not right now because I'm still playing.
Oh, yeah. Sorry.
Because I'm excited to, but I train there in the off season. So I'm in there a lot, and I have a good relationship with all the coaches up there and things like that. But I've been to a few games like on bye weeks, and then this year with having shoulder surgery, I was back in Lincoln, so I got to go to I think it was like my second ever game as a fan, and it's a lot less stressful being a fan and getting to watch other than playing. So I enjoyed it. I look forward to going to more though.
Yeah, for sure. Now, one thing as a guy that really loves football and everything, and one of the toughest things that football players go through is 2 days. Mm-hmm. What are 2 days as a Nebraska Cornhusker like?
Morning, you're there early. I don't even remember, like probably 7 a.m. ish. And then you have your meetings, first practice, a little bit of a break, more meetings. Second practice, it's usually the second practice is lighter. You're usually either only in helmets or just shoulder pads and helmets, and it's usually much lighter. And then you had meetings at night, and you got out of there at probably 9:30, 10 p.m. and did it again. And it was college training camps are tough. NFL training camps are even tougher, but at least you have preseason games to kind of break it up. But those college 2 days are, I don't even think you can do them anymore. But we usually only have about 4 or 5 until 2-a-days until we get closer to school starting. But they're a beast. There's nothing.
It's a grind.
There's no sugarcoating it. It is very hard, and it's a beast. And that's what I was telling the campers yesterday. And I was like, it's hard. Football's hard, and but guess what? Most things in life are hard.
Yeah.
So the best way to learn it, in my experience, is being on the football field.
Yeah.
So
feet to the fire type thing. Okay, now take me to like one of your most, and I know this is a tough question, but one of your more memorable games as a Nebraska Cornhusker.
Yeah.
Do you have one that sticks out in your mind?
The one that sticks out that like first comes to my mind is when we went up to Michigan my senior year and we beat them on their. They had like a 19 or 20 game home winning streak. Brady Hoke was the coach, and they were really good. And Denard Robinson was a quarterback, if you remember that name.
Oh yeah,
and
for sure.
So we went in and scored with like 3 or 4 minutes left, and I made the kind of like the seal block that our guy ran right past me and scored the go ahead touchdown. And I was just like, this was. And we were in, the big house, so that's 110,000 Michigan fans, and they're a very good football school too. They got crazy fans too. So, and we went in there, and it was very quiet after we went ahead.
I'm sure.
And that was probably one of the best moments of my life for football. For football, I mean, that was a special game. I had a really good game. I played really well. I think it was my senior year. We only had about 2 or 3 games left of my college career, and we went up there and smacked them.
That's awesome.
That was awesome.
Is that the best feeling as a lineman, is when you kind of seal somebody and then you see the running back just go right off your hips to the end zone?
Yeah. When you make the block and you're like, I know that felt good. Then you see the guy just cruise right past you. Yeah. And then, I mean, when you helped your teammate, your running back go, it's the best.
I'm sure.
Because obviously linemen aren't scoring touchdowns and doing normally if my name's being said, I messed up. So it's nice to just know that you're going to get, your praise basically in the film room. Right. And you know that you helped your team win, because ultimately that's what everyone's just trying to win. So you got to do what you got to do to win.
Was there a time in Nebraska where you were thinking, okay, I know I'm here. I know I'm doing some good things. I'm getting some playing time. I really want to go to the NFL. Was there a time?
Yeah, it was. I was just talking about that earlier too. It was kind of funny. It was after junior year. They have junior days for everybody who's after your junior season. You can kind of put your name into the scouts book basically. Okay. And you'll get a grade back of what you're going to be. And I had a 5th to 7th round grade after my junior year, and I was like, of the NFL, like
really,
like the draft.
They're talking 5 to 7 round.
Yeah.
Oh,
and
wow.
I was like, that means I was like, they know who I am. All right. I was like, so then after that, I was like, I need to get going. Like I need to.
Yeah.
So then going into senior year, I was ready to go, playing well, and coaches made a decision to not start me right away. And then, so I'd play a bunch, but I didn't start right away. And that's what ultimately had a effect on my draft grade. So maybe I should have, once again, looking back, should have just left after junior year, but that wasn't a thing, right? Like as common as it is today for guys to just do the minimum amount and then go to the draft. But it was after junior year that I got that grade back, and I was like, "Oh, this is real. We gotta ride this out."
Yeah,
and then here we are. That was 10 years ago almost. So.
Well, hindsight's 2020, right? Yeah. I mean, there's so many things different that a lot of us feel we could do. But now, okay, so your senior year, like you said, is there like the coaches didn't start you, which I'm sure bugged you a little bit, but you knew deep down, okay, I just have to keep going. I got to be a teammate. What's the mindset that maybe you would want to, somebody who's listening, like a younger player who's probably not starting, but plays most of the game. What would you tell them? Like, because sometimes, I mean, this as an athlete, and I do, we've all been there, that I'm not starting. Okay, why is this guy in front of me right off the bat? Then, I'm playing a lot of the grit time, if you will. What would you tell some athletes now that might be listening about trying to just overcome things like that?
Yeah, just being consistent. You just have to, if a coach can trust you and they know that you know what you're doing and you bring it every single day and just keep improving, keep getting better, being coachable. If you just keep doing it and doing it and doing it, they have no choice but to play you. That's kind of what I've like in the NFL too. Like, there's guys that they might do one or two amazing plays, but then they'll have two incredibly bad plays. And that's where my approach is always just be the same guy every day. Be the same, show up. They know you're going to be there. They know exactly what they're going to get out of you. And you just keep going. And at the end of the day, I think that's what coaches want. That's how I think you can be successful in life, is just bringing that consistent focus every single day.
Are you trying to like chase consistent greatness, or just be like showing up every day like 10 minutes early? Try to be in the weight room every day. Try to do things like that, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. That's a good consistent greatness. Exactly. Like you're just, and if you keep, I mean, you talk about stacking little wins, things like that. Like, keep stacking. We talk about all the time in our locker rooms and stuff, is keep stacking, keep stacking, keep stacking.
Dude, I love that. That's awesome. I got chills during saying that. That's great.
Because you just keep you keep stacking in all the work that you've done, and you're gonna put out a good product. And you might not win them all. That's hard, but well, life wouldn't be very fun if you want everything. You know what I mean? You got to keep going and keep grinding. All right, now, Brent, tell me. Okay, so senior year's done. All right, take me from. Did you guys do a pro day in Nebraska, or what happens then? Exactly. So we. Sorry.
No, you're all right. Should have took that water I offered you, man. Just kidding.
No, so we, so pro day is in March leading up to the draft. Draft's usually in April.
Okay.
So we have our pro day. I didn't get invited to the combine.
Did that piss you off?
Really pissed me off.
What you just said, God damn it.
Yes. I was like, am I allowed to swear?
Of course. Yeah.
I was like, are you fucking, like, literally, are you fucking kidding me? Like, what else do you want?
Yeah.
Like, it was me and the other tackle from Nebraska, and neither one of us got it. And we just like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
So we're like, all right, well, we'll have a great day at our pro day. Had a good pro day in March, did everything well. All my numbers were good. Like, I was happy with pretty much all of it. And then, we get to the draft it was the first week in May this year, that our particular year, for whatever, they moved it back. It's the only year they decided to do this. And we get there, and like the first 2 days we're both kind of like, not much, not too nervous yet. But that last day, it was a friend of ours' wedding that we were both in the wedding. So we have our phones up on the altar with us. Like,
really?
Like, hey man, if the phone rings, I'm answering during your wedding. I don't care. I'm sorry. Yeah. So then, actually, I think she was my fiance at the time, now wife, had my phone too. I had another phone that she was holding too. And right after the ceremony, the Jets called, and they were like,
what?
And they kind of were like, hey, we have a few picks left. You're in our board. Be ready to go. And then ultimately, like, the second the draft ended, it was maybe 10 minutes later, and I'd signed with the Jets. So they ended up choosing other players, and then I signed with them right after the draft.
So you're undrafted free agent.
Yeah.
Now, is this Rex Ryan?
Yes.
Really?
Mm-hmm. So
oh my God.
Yeah. So I played for Rex for a year, and then.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And it unfortunately that year was really bad, but Rex was, he was kind of at the end of his tenure with the Jets when I got there, but you could tell that he's just a fantastic coach.
Really? Mm-hmm. What do you mean by that? Like,
just his football knowledge, his defensive football knowledge. I mean, he changed the game. Well, his dad changed the game.
Buddy, right?
Buddy Ryan changed how defense was played, 85 Bears. Mm-hmm. And then Rex Ryan came in, and he started bringing all the crazy exotic blitzes that are in pretty normal in today's game, all started from Rex Ryan in Baltimore. And that's all. Now everybody is like, oh, he's a Rex Ryan guy. When you're playing, oh, this D coordinator is a Rex Ryan guy. So you just know some crazy stuff is coming. So, but he revolutionized defense in the NFL today. So.
Yeah, that's dope. Okay. Now you do this wedding, okay, New York, I'm going to New York. I'm going to play for the Jets. Mm-hmm. What happens then?
So we get out there, do spring OTA stuff, this kind of spring training drills, and then you have some little practices, and then get a little break, and then you go into training camp. And training camp is, like we talked earlier, is very hard.
Is it harder than college?
Yeah, just because the repercussions of if you mess up during practice, like you can get fired. Like your career you could walk off the field and your career will be done. They'll fire you.
Slip.
Yep, they'll fire you. Say, can you come talk to the GM, and can you bring your playbook too?
Oh God,
this is
shit.
That sucks.
Yeah.
That feeling sucks. And and then so we go through training camp. Things are good. I thought I played well, but they're like, hey, you're not quite like at the 53, because you start out with 90, cut down to 53, but we want you on our practice squad.
Okay.
To start. I was like, great. I was pumped.
Yeah.
So when they cut me, they started out like, hey, you're not quite ready, this and that. So I was like, oh, I'm done. My football career is done. He's like, but we want you on the practice squad. And I was like, why didn't you start with that? Like, why didn't you start with that? You could make this meeting a lot easier for everybody. I was like, yeah. Well, I was like, if I saw the NFL works, right, you get cut, you go on waivers, so other teams can potentially claim you, and then you could go to a new team. But in this case, I cleared through waivers and signed back, and that's where I spent. So my rookie year was on practice squad the whole time, and then obviously Rex Ryan gets fired, the GM gets fired, they hired Todd Bowles, and then so just going back to that consistency stuff, I was able to have a great offseason, get ready to go. And the new general manager and Coach Bowles and my O-line coach, they trusted me. They saw my consistent, just like we talked about before. And and then I was able to stick with them for the whole time, 5 more years there.
That's awesome. Okay. So just real quick, this is a question I've always wondered. Mm-hmm. I've had one other NFL guy on here, but I've always wondered this. When an NFL coach gets fired and was that season kind of ups and downs with New York?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we were really bad when Rex got fired.
Okay. So is that something that guys in the locker room are like, hey, I think coach is on the way out? Is that something that's kind of locker room talk that you kind of talk about, that the guys like, hey, it might be a new direction after this year?
Yeah, you definitely can
tell,
sense it.
Yeah,
sense that something's going on, especially if you're having a bad year and it's been a few years of bad years.
Yeah,
something's going on, and then it's tough because the new coach comes in, the new general manager comes in, they have their guys, mm-hmm. and they might not like you as much as they like a different guy from a different team that they had been scouting. So that's when you see all these new coaches and you see so much roster turnaround,
right?
To where that's why it was a bit of a blessing for me, because I had a fresh start with them, and I was able to get in with them basically.
Now, was Nick Mangold, was he on the team
mm-hmm.
then?
Yep.
Are you Nick? Did he kind of take you under his wing a little bit? Did you have any talk with him? Because he's an all-time NFL great. He's
so
really good.
I got to play 3 years with Nick, and he's a stud. Him and DeBrickashaw Ferguson, left tackle. So Brick was there for 2 years. Played 3 years with Nick Mangold, and then I had another guy, Willie Colon, who's so Big Willie and I were teammates for 2 years. And so you talk about a rookie coming into a room with 3 like 9 or 10 year vets of that status. Another guy, Brent Qvale, who he was the right tackle, I was the right tackle, so he mentored me a lot too. So we had 4 guys who were in their 9th or 10th year already when I got there. So it was cool to see how they handled themselves and just what it takes to be great. And and those guys are all fantastic players who all played over 10 years.
Right.
And they're beasts. There's no other way to put it.
Is there something that they said to you when you first got there, whether it was Mangold or Willie, that kind of stuck with you throughout your career at all?
Just like, it's not really what they said, it's just how they did
How they acted,
they did their business.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They, like, you could just see like how much focus and energy is needed to be great at that level.
Right. When you first get into the league, and I want you to take me back to this too, I talked about in Nebraska, but you go in front of an NFL stadium. How different was that? Was that an exciting moment of your life, or when you first walk in and you realize, okay, this is a big thing now?
Yeah, you could just see how much more commercialized the NFL is, right? Like,
okay.
Like they're, your college traditions of like fight songs and stuff like, and there is passionate professional teams and stuff, but you could still tell it's a pro game. It's entertainment. It's, entertainment now versus like your college stuff like that. But you still play for your pride and for the pride of the team. And, we talk about like the name, you play for the name on the front, but you also play for the name on the back of your jersey too. And just seeing, just the other harder part with the NFL is how fast guys are switched out.
Yeah.
So that's another big, but some of the NFL stadiums are crazy nice and cool too. So it's, some of the stadiums I've been able to play in it's been unforgettable.
What was one of your favorite?
Wembley in England.
You got to go overseas.
Yeah, so we played 2015. We played in Wembley in London against the Dolphins, and the trip that was a tough trip. We flew overnight to get there, landed, and just started our work day. So it was we were rolling, and everyone was tired, but we went out and we kicked the crap out of the Dolphins, and that made it. Then it was fine. Then it was worth it. So, yeah, but that was amazing.
Who was the quarterback when you first with the Jets when you first got there?
Geno Smith was the first year, and then he was supposed to be the second year, and that's when his jaw got broken, and that's when Fitzmagic became Fitzmagic.
I was just gonna ask you, Fitzmagic, because he just retired.
He just retired, which kudos to him. He is one of my favorite teammates of all time.
Tell us a story, please. Tell us any story, please. Tell us a Fitzmagic story.
Fitzy would. there's probably some stories he doesn't want out.
Okay.
He like for our O-line gift at the end of the year. So quarterbacks get offensive linemen gifts. Usually it's like a tradition at the end of the year, and he gets us each this giant Yeti cooler. But in true Fitz fashion, he puts his face on the cooler.
Really?
So everywhere you go, if you use it, they're like, "Why is that a Yeti?" I was like, "No, that's Fitz's beard, just hanging up." But no, the viral video of him getting interviewed after we beat the Cowboys when he's got the blood coming down his eyes, and he's just like, "Oh, we're live." Like that's just who he is. He just come in the line room interrupt our meeting and just start telling jokes and doing stuff. And the way that he could handle himself, like have so much fun and play at a high level, that's why he's Fitzmagic.
Yeah,
that's literally why he is Fitzmagic.
He's everybody who knows NFL knows him.
Mm-hmm.
And even this last year, I remember watching him. He beat the Raiders. He just came in he was playing for the Dolphins, I believe, and had a hell of a game.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't know if you saw that one when his face mask got ripped and delivered a bomb.
Yeah, and Fitz would throw like no look passes. Fitz would do all that stuff and just be like this kind of like scrawny white dude with a beard and just be throwing dimes all over the field.
Yeah. Who was the running backs?
Chris Ivory was one of my first.
Okay.
Bilal Powell, and then we signed Matt Forte for a few years.
Okay.
So I played with Forte for a couple years, and then I'm trying to think who it was at the end, but Bilal Powell was there the whole time. And then, man, I can't even remember now. Played with too many.
That's all right. It was kind of a black crush question.
But yeah, those are like the three that stick out to me the most was Matt Forte and Chris Ivory and BP, Bilal Powell.
So now when your time with New York is running down, you've been there for 5 years, like we said, when did you Were you on a year-to-year contract, or was it like a big deal?
So I had a practice squad, then I was on a 3-year like rookie deal. So I did 1 year, then a 3-year deal. Then they picked up my option for 1 more year, and then I signed back there for another year. So I was there like a total of 6 years, and it was all on. There's 1 3-year contract in there, and then there was a couple option contracts. Then I re-signed back there on my own. Yeah, so that was 2014 to 2019.
When you were with your time with the Jets, who was somebody that you get down in your stance, you're looking across from you go, holy shit, I'm playing against this guy?
A guy named Muhammad Wilkerson back in his prime a few years ago. Sheldon Richardson, who's still causing havoc in the league. Big Snacks Harrison.
Okay.
Big Damon. He just retired recently. That's what's crazy. All the guys that I talk about going against are all retiring.
Right. Yeah.
But DNs, I mean, like Calvin Pace, Quentin Copels. There's some Jason Babin, some older names who were in their prime were elite pass rushers.
Yeah.
So that was who we were going up in practice every day.
Did any when the new coach, he's the head coach of Tampa Bay now, you were talking about Todd Bowles.
Yep.
When he took over, was there like kind of a new sense of urgency or something that you could kind of sense right off the bat?
Yes. Yeah. Coach Bowles was very not strict is a bad word, but very professional, like to the point. And when you were at the facility, you were working, and he's a fantastic coach. He's one of my favorite coaches I've ever played for, though. And it's unfortunate we didn't win more with him, because I don't think he can take all the blame that he did take, but that's just the type of guy he is. He'll take it for his team. Yeah. But I know now he's getting another shot in Tampa, and I know he's going to put out a great product like he always does.
He's coaching the GOAT. I mean, Tom Brady.
Yeah, that also helps too. When you have Tom Brady, you can get away with a lot too.
Right. Okay. Now just to fast forward a little bit. So your time with New York's done. Is there some teams now that are starting to reach out to you that you're like, okay, now I'm going to kind of move on a new fresh chapter?
Yeah. After my last year in New York, it was we were kind of ready for a new change. And right when free agency hit, Houston called right away. It was my old O-line coach from my rookie year, actually in New York. He was in Houston.
Nice.
So that was the connection. And then Bill O'Brien called right away, and I was signed. Free agency started on Wednesday, and we had the deal done by Friday. So it was great. That was a great year, and I was excited. And then obviously COVID became COVID. Yeah. So we were just sitting at home waiting for what was going to happen. But I'm glad the NFL put together a very good plan, and we got to go down to Houston. And I mean, it stinks. Like, I hate saying it, but it stinks that it was unfortunate that the season started off bad, and they decided to make another a coaching change. And they fire Bill O'Brien. So then, they clean house, and it is what it is.
Right. What's the call like from Bill O'Brien?
It's good. I mean,
he's like, hey, this is Bill.
Yeah, exactly.
Bill O'Brien.
Yeah, he's like, hey, yeah, exactly. Hey, Coach O'Brien.
Just like, are you like, no, it's not. This is my brother.
He's just like, hey, Coach O'Brien. Just like, oh shit. I was like, hey, you see like your phone, the number comes up, then it says the area. It's like Houston, Texas. I was like, oh shit, like this is good. All right. Yeah. Because they call, like, you want the calls, obviously. Yeah. So then when it came quickly, that made us very happy, and but we got the deal done right away.
That's awesome.
He's like, hey, heard great things. Excited to have you on board. And there you go.
Was David Johnson down there then?
Yeah, so he was our running back. Yep.
What was he like?
He's great. Running backs they take such a beating in the NFL. So he was running hard, and unfortunately, it just wasn't clicking that year. And then they made the change early in the season. Right. Which is unfortunate, because then new coach, all their new players come in, and that's where I found myself this last year again. Yeah.
So now tell us what's next? What's going on?
Yeah. So then I signed this last year. I was with Tennessee. Okay. Signed to the Titans in training camp. Okay. I had just turned 30, so that is kind of the number when teams are kind of hesitant to sign you early. Just
30's the age, huh?
Unless you're, obviously there's the Tom Brady's, and there's other guys who are for know the word, freaks that just can, they're playing at a high level into their 30s and stuff. And then there's a lot of guys like me who've been, have some injuries, have some wear on the tires, as they say.
Yeah.
So that's just what happened last year. So I had to wait a little longer. It was fine. Went to Tennessee, thought I had a good shot there. Was practicing well, had a really good first preseason game, and then we were doing joint practices against Tampa, and me and another guy, I was blocking him. He fell. My arm was holding him, so when we went to the ground, my arm just popped out of place, and there you go.
No shit.
And then shoulder went out, and there you go.
Is that like a rotator cuff or what?
It was labrum and
torn
some
labrum,
bone stuff. And
I had that surgery. It's a bear, dude.
They are not fun.
They're horrible.
Yeah.
How long did you have to wear one of those big, thick braces?
Yeah, big braces for like 4 weeks, 6 weeks.
Yep.
I don't know. I should probably listen to my doctors more when it comes to stuff like that. But if it's feeling fine, I'm kind of pretty relaxed about it. So
now you're working out. You're trying to kind of get back into that shape, trying to find that next gig. Do we have any leads right now, or where are you at right now?
Yeah, exactly. So now I'm all healthy. I'm all healed up.
Right.
I'm close to football shape again, as good as you can get. You can't get in football shape till you go play, but as close as I can get to being ready.
Yeah.
I got until the end of July when training camps start, and then I'll be ready to go. And I'm talking. Awesome. I mean, my agent stays in contact with teams every week. He's got his list of who he's calling, who's interested.
That's badass.
Yeah.
Dude.
So I'm talking to several teams, like a couple of them, Baltimore, Arizona, things like Detroit, which obviously I'd be excited to go to any of those. I think obviously like right now, Baltimore and Arizona have a better shot to make a run at the playoffs. So we'll see what happens, but it happens so fast when it does that, like when the Titans called, I was at home at like 1 PM. I was in Nashville by 10 that night, and I was picked up at 6 a.m. to go to the facility.
Really?
I mean, there's no messing around in the NFL. It is a business, and because if you're not ready, they'll find someone who is.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
It is what it is.
Kansas City Chiefs, where are you at? Sign my boy.
Please,
dude, that would be so sick.
I live in Lincoln, Nebraska,
right.
So I'm 2 hours away from Kansas City. Obviously they're a great team. Talk about having a great shot to go. That's what I'm playing right now for a ring. I want a ring.
You want a ring?
I want a ring more than anything.
Right.
That's like you can only play in the NFL for so long for most of us.
Yeah.
And then like I want a ring.
Yeah.
That's goal number 1 is a ring.
Right. Would you take a ring over, say, if you were just a second stringer, like kind of just like the bump guy?
Yeah. I would take a ring over
just about anything.
Like if I win a Super Bowl this year, I will 99% retire.
Really?
I mean it's
a big thing, man.
It's a lifetime thing.
Yeah. And okay, right, just to rewind this kind of came in. How did you get to practice long Derrick Henry much?
Yeah, I mean, just for he was still, obviously he's such a animal that they kind of hold him back in training camp just because he gets so many shots taken at him during the season. And then but yeah, talk about
a beast.
Just a beast. I mean, he's like 6'4", which is taller than most running backs, and just seeing him. But his work ethic is amazing. The way he carries himself is amazing. He just goes out. He does exactly what they have a plan for him. He sticks to it. And obviously the results have been showing over the last few years. Because this guy's kind of been on the rise, Mike Vrabel. He's been on the rise as a head coach. Did you get to be around him much, or what were your thoughts on him? Yeah, I mean, he's tough. He's a tough guy. Like he was raised in the Patriot way with Belichick and everything like that. But so he's a kind of a fierce competitor, and he's one of those guys that nobody is going to push him around. He will not take anything from anybody, and that's how. But he like kind of puts that on his team. That's why his teams are always so tough too, is because the Titans do not take crap from anybody. Right. No, so, and you could they were one of the best teams last year. They're a bully team that they're going to take the fight to you. Yeah. And besides that, like Cardinal game to start the year out when they got just had a really bad game, and then they kind of found their groove. And then, but no, that toughness and that persona just goes through the whole team.
Yeah. One of the podcasts I've been listening to, and I'm not sure if you're a big podcast guy, but it's called Bussin' with the Boys.
Yeah, with old Compto
and Taylor
Lewan.
Yeah. What do you think of those two? Did you ever come across those two? They're like kind of my heroes.
I played with Will for 4 years in college, so I've known Will
Oh
for
my
that.
God, are you serious?
Yeah, he's a Nebraska guy. So,
oh yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah, so I know Compton very well.
No shit.
That's just who he is. That was the goofiness was who he was in college, and
I forgot he was linebacker for Nebraska.
yeah, exactly. So it's funny to see how many other people think like he's just a goofy dude that works his balls off.
Yeah. I love every time I would follow him on social media and he'd have the whole it's comeback season, baby. He'd sign with the Raiders, then they cut him and then he'd sign back. But he's one of those grinders that you just love. And I love listening to him and Taylor on that podcast too. Mm-hmm. I think they're awesome. How
Lewan is on the podcast is exactly who he is in person too. Just like he'll talk over you. He's just kind of rude and he's kind of just an asshole. That's just who he is. He's an asshole, but that's who he is.
Yeah.
So
did you ever see that video of Taylor and Josh Norman when Taylor walked up to Josh Norman and just pointed at him like this, and then Josh Norman threw it and he still held the thing?
Yeah, I mean that is Taylor Lewan in a nutshell.
In a nutshell. So. Yeah, those guys are awesome.
Yeah.
Well, listen, I know you've got a flight to catch and stuff. I'm not trying to hold you up too much, but I want to talk about your family. Because you've got a brother who was a standout basketball player, played for the Grizzlies, right? Montana. Now he's overseas. Can you people that are listening to this, probably a fan of the Qvale family, what's been going on with your brother?
Yeah, no, so he just finished up year 11 already overseas. He's been in Japan the last 3 years. But he's played, Turkey, Belgium, Germany, Italy, Russia. He's been, he's seen, the whole world. So, But Japan has been really good for him the last 3 years. They just stay in. They don't do all the Euro League stuff. They just stay Japan just plays Japan. So it's been a lot easier on his, mental side and family and stuff. But he hasn't really been. His family, his wife and kids stay home the last couple of years, so he's been kind of by himself playing. But he's had tremendous success. Obviously, it's our conversations right now kind of focus on who's talking to you, what contracts. Yeah. Listen, we kind of just talk sports business with each other. What's your agent doing? Well, my agent's doing this. Oh, yeah. But he's back home now. He lives in Missoula that's where his family is. So he's hanging out, he's training, he's waiting for some more to see what offers come in. He's gotten a couple offers that he wasn't happy with, so he's waiting to see. But I think if he doesn't get the right one, he might be done, which
retire.
Yeah, good for him. Been doing it for a long time, and then but his team won the Japanese title again, so it's kind of crazy.
That's wild.
So no, that's been his life for the last 11 years. Is from August until May or early June. He's playing basketball, and he gets a couple months off right now, and then hit it again. So.
And then I want to talk about your dad too, because anybody who knows North Dakota sports knows your dad. And like we were talking before the podcast, the late great Butch Hauglin and your dad were friends. Your dad played at North Dakota State. When you chose Lincoln over NDSU, did he say hey, maybe we look at the buys a little bit, take a second glance?
Yeah. So we, what NDSU kind of offered early, which credit to my dad for saying, he's I would love it if you go there, but I'm not gonna, it's your decision. And then when I did get that opportunity, these bigger schools started offering, and we started going on the official going on visits and seeing it, and it was just kind of okay, I gotta go I'm gonna go Power 5. I'm gonna go big and see what happens. Yeah. And then obviously when the middle of my college career is when NDSU started just tearing it up and winning national titles and all of that. And then they got, obviously Wentz was there at the end of my college, right, my couple first 2 years in the pros was when he was still tearing it up at NDSU. So, but no, I mean, obviously it's a fantastic program, and
Right.
yeah, I think about it, think about it still, but it's one of those deals that at the time when I was coming out, I was like, I'm going to go for as big as I can, basically.
What's it like to have a dad like yours that you can not only look up to as a role model, but as an athlete? A guy who's done everything.
Mm-hmm.
Is that something that as a little kid you were like, damn, I want to be like my dad?
Yeah, no, you just hearing, stories of people like, oh, well, he could do this and he scored this many points in basketball. And
yeah,
my whole thing was I just wanted to be better than, because I was like, I'm just going to try and beat him and everything. So that was just hearing those stories made me want to strive for greatness. And then obviously same thing with my brother. Anything he did, I wanted to be better than him too. So that was just kind of our whole childhood growing up.
What was the front yard games like growing up?
We put a lot of holes in the walls. I tackled my brother a lot through our wall. It was kind of a recurring thing in our house, but I mean, we battled. Yeah. And then we get on the court or the field together and we just, mess with guys and do stuff together I mean, that's another thing that I still think about a little bit is how we didn't win like a state basketball title here and stuff like that. Just couldn't get that one game at state each year. And it was just, so that's frustrating, but no, I mean, we definitely had some battles at the Qvale house.
People forget that how good of a basketball player you were too. Cause I remember, obviously we're right around the same age, but I remember watching you a couple times and how big, because you played the 5, obviously, 5 spot. Is basketball something that you were getting a few looks at too? Yeah.
So I had a chance. I almost went to Montana to do both.
No
I was gonna
shit.
do football and then be like a reserve on the basketball.
Wow.
On the basketball team. I am glad I didn't do it just because of how much energy and focus it takes at the collegiate level. So that I would have been, run dry basically. So
yeah.
But so I had a few like Montana, and there's a couple other schools that talked to me. It was just politely said that I'm gonna go play football, but I appreciate the offers because I was too short to be a center at the higher level, and I was not skinny enough to be a guard. Okay. So I was way too big to be a guard and not tall enough to be a center.
Right.
So I was like, I'm playing football. I knew that was my best shot.
Okay. Well, like I said, I know you got your mom and dad outside waiting, so we'll make this short. But one thing I ask every guest before we end the podcast is, this podcast is called Swim Lessons. It's kind of about getting through the tough times, getting through the tough water, learning to kind of just navigate through. And Brent, what is something you would like to leave our listeners with today that maybe they can apply to their life to get them through these tough times? Because I mean, let's be honest, this is a weird time in the world right now, and just something that after this podcast they can apply to their life.
Yeah, I mean, just it's going to your own battle every day. That's what there's hard stuff. Not trying to conquer everything all at once either. You got to chip away at it. You got to just keep working, keep putting those days together, and just one step at a time, one little thing at a time. Get those mini wins that we talked about earlier. That's all. That's what I think about all the stuff that in my own head and in my own life that I got to keep going at. And it's just keep chipping away at it. And then you look back and you're like, oh, I did all of this. That's pretty cool. Like, I can't believe that I accomplished everything by just keep working and keep going. So that's all I say is just keep going. Put your head down and go to work. And it's not always the best answer or the easiest answer, but it works. And that's something that I really believe in.
Damn, that was really good. That was cool. Maybe one of my favorite answers anybody has ever given me.
Good.
That was awesome, dude.
I appreciate it.
Where can people find you at? Just so they can keep in touch with you on your social media.
It's just at my name, just Brent Qvale, and it's Qvale, and that usually messes everybody up.
Because it's almost sounds like a U.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's spelled with a V, sounds like a U. Yeah. So it messes everybody up everywhere I go. So
now is your football camp usually this time every year?
Yeah, it's around the first week or two in June.
So if you're a young football player, listen to this, get your butt to But it's for linemen, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then so young linemen who want to get, coached by myself and college coaches and have a chance to get looked at and start your own recruiting story and process. This is a good place to do. We've had success. There's at least 4 or 5 guys who got noticed at the camp and are now playing college football.
Let's get this thing big.
Let's
get this thing big. I'll help you.
That's what we've been
I'll
trying.
do my best. Let's get this thing big. Well, man, thank you very much for coming on here. It means a lot to me. I really appreciate you, and I know a lot of people in North Dakota are going to appreciate this because when I told a few of my friends, they said, that's the best athlete to come out of North Dakota. And that's saying a lot. Have you ever got that before?
Not.
Because you are. I mean, you're one of those guys that kind of, not only you're a dual sport athlete, I mean, you did track, basketball, football, now you're in the NFL. I mean, you're up there, man. It's got to be a good feeling.
I appreciate it.
One last question that I just see on my notes. Have you ever had any interaction with Phil Jackson?
I have not yet.
Let's change that.
Yeah, we need to. I would love to meet him.
Yeah.
So.
All right, man. Well, thank you again. Appreciate it. That's it, everybody. Brent Qvale.
I told you it's gonna be a party.